Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, June 21st, coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-gyun. Before we begin, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. South Korea reported 357 new COVID-19 cases Monday, inching down over the weekend. The nation will ease social distancing measures beginning July, including measures to allow private gatherings of up to 6 people in the capital area. South Korea, the U.S., and Japan will hold a trilateral meeting in Seoul in the coming hour on ways to denuclearize the Korean peninsula. The meeting is the first since U.S. Special Envoy for North Korea, Sung Kim, took post. And the Delta variant, first identified in India, has now spread to 80 regions around the world. The variant has been deemed highly transmissible, but now studies show the variant is capable of evading antibodies. Our top story this morning, South Korea has revised its social distancing guidelines, relaxing several virus prevention measures. Now, this means that from July, the current ban on private gatherings of 5 or more will be relaxed. For the details on the updated guidelines, we have our Han Sung-woo on the line for us. Sung-woo, tell us more.
It's a sign that South Korea is slowly returning to normal, Mo-gyun. Starting July 1st, the country will allow private gatherings of up to 6 people in Seoul and the surrounding area. This will be raised to 8 people after a 2-week trial period. It's all in line with the new social distancing plan revealed on Sunday, which simplifies the current 5-tier scheme into a 4-tier one. The new rules will allow nightclubs and other adult entertainment facilities in the greater Seoul area, expected to be placed at level 2, to resume operations. Restaurants, cafes, and singing rooms under level 2 can operate for 2 hours longer until midnight. The rest of the country will be placed under level 1, meaning there will be no bans on gatherings or business restrictions starting in July. Also, the eased social distancing plan will allow all students to learn in person at school from the second semester under level 1 and 2, though some schools in certain regions could still have attendance caps.
Now, Sung-woo, let's shift to the daily infection tally. We've been seeing numbers steadily decrease into the 400 range lately as more people get vaccinated. Now, what about today? I heard that it went down today as well.
Yes, it's now actually fallen into the 300 range, but this is probably due to fewer tests conducted over the weekend. With cluster infections still popping up nationwide, South Korea reported 357 new cases of COVID-19 on Monday. All but 40 of Monday's cases were transmitted locally, with Seoul and the surrounding area accounting for 222. 2 more have died, raising the death toll to 2,004. As for the vaccination campaign, some 15,014,000 people, or about 29.2% of the population, have received their first doses. Authorities will focus on giving out second doses for the remainder of June, but with the Moderna rollout having begun recently and more people receiving leftover vaccines, the country could reach the 30% mark by the end of this month. That's all I have for now, Mo-gyun. Back to you.
Thank you for the update, Sung-woo. Now, as the Delta variant, which originated in India, continues to spread across the globe, a new study out of India shows the Delta variant can be transmitted to people who have been vaccinated. Lee Seung-jae tells us more.
The Delta variant, first identified in India, has now spread to 80 regions around the world. The variant has been deemed highly transmissible, but now studies show the variant is capable of evading antibodies. According to a study in India, which is currently being peer-reviewed, the Delta variant escapes the antibodies gained by the body, either through earlier infection or through vaccination. The study added its ability to escape antibodies means higher transmissibility, and this could potentially impact the global vaccination program moving forward. With fears over the Delta variant spreading further, Belgium will ban entry to non-EU travelers from the UK. The UK is on a list of 27 nations subject to the ban effective June 27th. The Delta variant is now the dominant strain in the UK. So far in Belgium, the Delta variant accounts for over 6% of infections. In China, hundreds of flights were canceled over the weekend when a waitress at Shenzhen International Airport tested positive for the Delta variant. Airport authorities are now requesting all travelers submit a negative test that's less than 48 hours old to access the airport if the flight hasn't already been canceled. Shenzhen is home to large Asian tech companies such as Huawei and Tencent. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Seoul's chief nuclear negotiator No Gugak is sitting down with his U.S. counterpart Sung Kim this morning to discuss ways to denuclearize the Korean peninsula. They're also set to take part in a three-way meeting in Seoul with their Japanese counterpart Takehiro Funakoshi soon, as well as hold bilateral meetings with the Biden administration's North Korea policy review on the agenda. The meetings follow North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's message last week about preparing for both dialogue and confrontation with the U.S. Reacting to recent comments by North Korea's leader that the regime needs to be prepared for dialogue and confrontation with the U.S., Washington's top security advisor says the U.S. is waiting for a clearer signal to begin talks with the North. Kim Hyo-sun has this report.
U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the U.S. is waiting to see a, quote, clearer signal from North Korea that the regime is ready to initiate talks. Asked about North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's latest remarks that the North needs to prepare for both dialogue and confrontation with Washington, Sullivan told ABC News that such comments are an interesting signal. He explained that a clearer signal means a clear yes from the regime. He added the U.S. will wait and see whether the regime follows up with any more direct communication about a potential path forward. Sullivan also underscored the importance of diplomacy, explaining there is no substitute to reach the ultimate objective of a complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. Sullivan's remarks again put emphasis on President Biden's calibrated, practical approach in dealing with the North that's also open to diplomacy with the regime. Late last week, the North's leader directly commented on the Biden administration for the first time that the regime needs to get fully prepared for confrontation with Washington in particular to protect its dignity. He also added Pyongyang will sharply and promptly react to any developments while focusing its efforts to take stable control of the situation on the peninsula. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
South Korea's exports performed strongly in June, showing a solid recovery from the pandemic. Korea Customs Service said on Monday that exports during first 20 days of June amounted to some $32.4 billion. Now, this is nearly 30% jump on year. And due to fewer working days, the daily average exports also rose by over 33%. Semiconductors, South Korea's flagship export item, increased by almost 29%. Shipments of automobiles and petroleum products also jumped by around 62% and 58%, respectively. Almost 8 out of 10 consumers in South Korea are shopping more online due to the pandemic. According to the latest consumption behavior survey conducted by Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry, 78.4% of the respondents said their internet shopping habits increased compared to before the COVID-19 outbreak. Nearly 3/4 of the respondents picked food and beverage products as the most frequently purchased items. The online shopping trend was boosted as people find delivery convenient and want to avoid crowded stores due to concerns over the virus. Cheap prices also contributed to the rise. Now, taking a brief look at the global economic calendar for the week ahead, both here and abroad. South Korea is set to publish the Producer Price Index as well as its population data. In overseas markets, the U.S. will release its GDP for the first quarter. Seo Eun-kyung tells us more.
On Tuesday, the Bank of Korea will release the Producer Price Index for May. The figure increased for the sixth consecutive month in April, up 0.6% from the previous month. Compared to the same period last year, the index was up 5.6%. The central bank attributed the rise to industrial goods, which increased by about 1%, mainly due to the rising prices of raw materials. The Producer Price Index, or simply PPI, is one of the official measures of inflation, tracking the average change over time in the selling prices of goods and services received by domestic producers for their output. On Wednesday, Statistics Korea will release the country's population data for April. The March figures show that the country's population had been shrinking for 17 months in a row, and the total fertility rate in the first quarter dropped to 0.88, the lowest record since the related data was first compiled in 1981. With the number of marriages dropping more than 13% on year, mainly due to the COVID-19 outbreak, on top of economic factors like poor job security and rising housing prices, a fall in population is largely expected to persist for some time. Over in the U.S., the country will announce its first quarter GDP this year. According to the government's latest estimate last month, the U.S. economy grew at a robust annual rate of 6.4% in the first 3 months of this year, unchanged from its initial estimate in April. The projection is up by 2.4% compared to the country's fourth quarter GDP last year. Gains in consumer spending are largely seen as contributing to the increase, which grew at an annual rate of 11.3%. Considering rapid vaccinations along with fiscal stimulus, as well as the steady flow of monetary policy support, all eyes are on whether the U.S. economic growth in the first quarter will outpace the government's projection. 서은경, Arirang News.
Seoul's main financial district of Yeouido will soon be home to an office of the Central American Bank for Economic Integration, known for short as CABEI. As a regional institution that supports development in Central America, CABEI accepted South Korea as one of its 2 Asian members last year, after which Seoul proposed it set up a local office. The city of Seoul says CABEI was mainly attracted by South Korea's talented workforce, to whom it plans to offer jobs when the office opens later this year. The Finance Ministry says it hopes the new office will help local companies make inroads in overseas markets and boost Yeouido's status as an Asian financial hub. Drinking a cup of high-quality coffee in the morning has become a lot more convenient with the invention of capsule machines. With the technology, South Korean companies have now come up with capsules for tea. Brewing tea is pretty simple to do anyway, of course, but these capsules do it faster and let you add different tastes, aromas, and even medicinal herbs. Our Kim Chang-ah has this report.
Every morning starts with a meeting. But instead of pouring regular cups of coffee, everyone at this company starts the day with red and yellow tea. Capsule coffee machines have become a global phenomenon, but engineer Kim Ha-seop wanted to create an alternative for tea drinkers.
I wanted to make a machine that was good for our health, so at a startup meeting for office workers, we thought of combining tea and medicinal herbs with capsule machines.
Like coffee, ingredients such as herbs are roasted, steamed, and dried to produce different tastes and aromas. The capsules are made from cornstarch extracts to be more environmentally friendly, a trend in the capsule market. Since their release 2 years ago, more than 3 million tea capsules have been sold in South Korea.
I don't like bitter drinks normally, and I like toasty types of tea. The aroma is good, so I keep drinking it.
The company has also come up with a mobile phone app that recommends tea capsules based on a customer's preference and lifestyle habits.
A lot of startups are surfacing even in the agri-food industry. We expect it to greatly help the industry as they use local produce on top of their great ideas.
South Korea's domestic coffee capsule market was worth around $177 million in 2020, a more than 42% increase on year. But with tea capsules proving popular, this South Korean startup will be hoping it can gain some of the market share. Kim Chang-ah, Arirang News.
Seoul's royal palaces are tranquil places where you can soak in the ambience of the Joseon Dynasty's centuries-old history. At one of them, visitors have the chance to enjoy dance and traditional Korean music while they take in the sights. Our Kim Bo-kyung has more.
You don't have to travel far to find quiet spots that are rich with history. The royal palaces nestled in the heart of Seoul offer citizens a comforting place to relax. To create a unique experience, the Cultural Heritage Administration came up with a daily small performance series taking place in Changgyeonggung Palace.
For those who feel like escaping the bustle of the city and enjoying the perfect weather with a soft breeze, you can relax and watch shows in the palace grounds while sitting on a comfy beanbag.
To let citizens find some comfort and overcome the corona blues, we were allowed to use the forest of Changgyeonggung Palace as a stage. We hope traditional and contemporary dance together at one site, along with Gugak band songs, can help relieve people's stress.
The artist who performs the Salpuri, a national intangible cultural heritage, says the backdrop of the centuries-old palaces could let viewers enjoy the ambience of the shows even more.
Salpuri is one of the representative folk dances, as it literally means to wash away evil spirits. The shamanic element was strongly embedded, but now it's one of Korea's traditional arts. I believe presenting traditional dance in a major cultural heritage site could offer greater joy.
The audience seemed delighted to see the live show.
I went out to stroll with my friend because the weather is so nice. It has been a long time since I've seen a live show, and it was great to see well-trained performers in traditional dance. I will come again next time. I enjoyed it so much today.
The shows will take place at 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. every day until June 27th. Each show is limited to 50 audience members due to COVID-19. For shows until June 18th, those interested can get the tickets at site for free, while for performances from the 19th to the 27th, people need to register in advance through the Naver booking website. 김보경, Arirang News.
Welcome. It's time for The World Now, bringing you some of the most interesting news from around the globe. I'm Ji-young. How can the Rio de Janeiro's devastating death toll from COVID-19 be possibly commemorated? Brazil became the second country after the U.S. to pass 500,000 deaths from the coronavirus, and 500 roses were set on Rio de Janeiro's Copacabana beach on Sunday to memorialize the brutal milestone. The symbolic display was created by activists from Rio de Paz, a non-governmental organization that also criticized President Jair Bolsonaro's attempt to curb the disease.
At the head of the republic, there is a president who violated all sanitary norms from the beginning of the pandemic. He underestimated the lethal power of the virus, participated in anti-democratic public demonstrations, stimulating the agglomeration.
Only about 11% of Brazil's population have been fully vaccinated. Thousands of Brazilians protested in nationwide demonstrations on Saturday to denounce the administration for the management of the pandemic. The streets of Warsaw were once again deluged with a sea of rainbow flags. The largest gay pride parade in Central Europe returned on Saturday for the first time in 2 years after it was canceled amid the pandemic last year. Although smaller than the one in 2019 due to some restrictions, thousands of people marched in the Equality Parade fighting for their rights.
We have 12 demands, the very same demands since the very beginning 20 years ago, and none of them have been fulfilled. And it's not only, the demands are not only about the LGBTQ+ community.
The parade took place days after Hungary's parliament passed a law banning the disclosure of materials with LGBT content to those under the age of 18. A test of love failed. After spending 123 days handcuffed together, a couple decided to ditch the handcuffs and their relationship at last. The inseparable Ukrainian young couple originally planned to save their on-again, off-again relationship, but admitted that the experiment had raised some uncomfortable truths. But the couple did not regret the time they were in shackles.
I am happy about what we had in the past. I do not regret anything, and we will be happy in the future, even if we are not together.
They first chained themselves together in February on Valentine's Day and had originally planned to stay that way until they got married. The girlfriend said she missed having personal space the most while they were handcuffed together, and she also felt her boyfriend didn't pay attention to her.
Good morning. It's the summer solstice today, which means the sun is at its highest point in the sky and we have the longest daylight hours of year. So the heat continues in many areas today, while the East Coast will have breezy daytime highs with easterly winds and rain. So eastern regions will be seeing showers due to atmospheric instability, while eastern Gangwon-do province could see rain into early tomorrow. Elsewhere, air quality will be bad in west of central region, while ozone levels will be high to very high except in eastern Gangwon-do province. And you know, exposure to high levels of ozone can cause chest pains and coughing, so let's try to avoid spending time outdoors unless it's absolutely necessary today. Very strong UV rays will beam down along with sunny skies, and Daejeon and Gwangju will be getting up to 30 degrees Celsius this afternoon. Then passing rain is in the forecast for the next couple of days. Then sunny skies and summer heat returns at the end of the week. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
That will do it for us at this hour on Arirang News. We'll be back at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.